Hello, I'm Sasha Mandel, this is On the Mandelpiece, and I'm looking for the next Elon Musk trying to tackle the climate crisis. Could the folks over at Our Carbon be the answer? Stick around because in this episode, we're going to find out. Bum 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 bow doo 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 dow doo doo doo. Yeah. You see, for a very long time, I wanted to be the first entertainer on Mars, but that's all changed now. I'm looking to shine a light on that 1 in a billion individual seeking to disproportionately solve our problem of global warming. Human beings are notoriously bad at predicting the future. They say we have, less than 10 years until it's too late? But the reality is we don't know what technologies are lying around the corner. And that is why I'm here. I want to find those individuals smart enough and brave enough to stare out into the abyss, crunching on that sweet, sweet glass. So could Our Carbon be our answer? Our Carbon is a brand new startup whose mission is to make carbon neutrality achievable for everyone. The fact is, we as a species emit 50 billion tons of CO2 every year. That is a lot of greenhouse gases. So how on earth will Our Carbon bring those CO2 emissions down to zero? Zilch. Nada. Are they building a new intergalactic Hoover that will suck those emissions out into space? No, of course not. This isn't Star Trek, but it is a nice idea though, right? Our Carbon is going to help us all reduce our greenhouse emissions by, yeah, you guessed it, accounting. They are striking at the core of that little game we've all been playing, capitalism. Whether we like it or not, every part of our lives is destroying the planet. From the things we buy to how we travel, it all comes with a carbon price tag. But how can little old me know how many tons of CO2 I'm pumping into the atmosphere by drinking bottled Fijian water every day whilst driving in my Hummer? Well, knowing your footprint is the first step Our Carbon asks their clients to make, because you can't improve on something if you can't measure it. Whether you're a large corporation or an up-and-coming influencer, Our Carbon offers an auditing service to help you and your organization get a clear picture of your direct and indirect carbon impacts, and then coaches you through the methods which will get you to carbon negativity. But don't get me wrong, this is no easy feat. I can't imagine you can just waltz up to the CEO of Coca-Cola and say, excuse me, but I see you're in need of a carbon audit. Fancy bringing your carbon footprint down to zero? No, they've got to start small and build up a snowball of momentum. But don't you worry about that, because from my research, it seems like they got themselves a plan. Now, in order for us to understand this plan, we've got to bust out Everett Rogers' infamous innovation curve. As you can see with any new idea or product, the first ones on the scene are the innovators, the magicians making something out of nothing. Then come the early adopters, the brilliant and courageous people daring enough to envision a better future. Once they've got a hold of the idea, the snowball really starts to gather momentum with the early majority, the cool cats on the lookout for the next best thing. They are then followed by the late majority, the average Joes seeking to fit in. And lastly, we have the laggards. Basically, they're the old folks who buy a smartphone because the shop no longer sells buttoned ones. When it comes to tackling the climate crisis, we've been stuck here for a very, very long time. Our Carbon needs to find ways to spread their ideas to the early adopters. So, who will be that brave 13.5%? Well, Our Carbon might have the answer. It's potentially charities. You see, charities play outside the normal confines of capitalism. Their chief aim is to care. They're not beholden to shareholders or profit margins, which give them the ability to operate differently to most other companies, making them the perfect example to lead the charge into the early majority. As my great digital mentor Gary Vaynerchuk would say, bet on the jockey, not the horse. So let's explore the people behind Our Carbon. Currently, there are two individuals fighting this good fight. We have CEO Laura Hendy. Laura has worked at one of the largest accounting firms, PwC, for just under a decade, with 4 of those years being in management. So I imagine is no stranger to leading a team into the abyss. I also think it's safe to say that Laura has accumulated well over 10,000 hours of accounting experience, which gives Laura an auditing level of Master of the Game. We also have our carbon founder, Dave Erasmus, working behind the scenes. Dave is a multi-successful entrepreneur, having built and exited 3 previous companies within the digital marketing sector. He's got around 58,000 subscribers on YouTube, he's spoken at TEDx 4 times, and regularly posts blogs for the Huffington Post, which gives Dave a building businesses level of Renaissance man. In my opinion, this company has all the ingredients to be a game-changing entity, and it doesn't stop there, oh no. The company is set to be growing a team. As of the making of this video, they are seeking a climate solutions project lead, someone to lead and project manage the work of identifying carbon reduction and offsetting solutions partners. I've dropped a link to their LinkedIn page in the descriptions if you fancy applying. Laura and Dave, if you're watching this, I'm hoping we can do a part 2 maybe of this episode where we discuss how things are going and your plans for the future. I really think Our Carbon has a shot at solving a big piece of the climate crisis puzzle by honing into the finances of corporations and embedding carbon consciousness at every level of the accounting process. All we now need to do is get the corporate world excited by the prospects of using your services, and bingo, we got ourselves a climate crisis saving plan. Thank you so much for sticking around. If you enjoyed this episode, please do subscribe, as you'll find more videos on mental health, the environment, and tech startups. Oh, and don't forget to tinkle that lovely notification bell too. Goodbye now. Bye. All right, goodbye now. Bye. What are you waiting for? Get out of here!